Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're glad you're tuning in. And hey, if you love getting these kinds of insights, remember to check out Mind Expansion Daily. There's loads more great information like this over there.
Yeah, and while you're visiting, please take a second to like and subscribe. It really helps us grow our community. And you're finding this valuable and you feel like it, you can always buy us a coffee. The link's right there in the description. We really appreciate the support, definitely. We also love hearing from you. So, after this deep dive, we've got a little challenge. Jump into the comments. Do you agree or disagree with our final take on flu symptoms? And also, let us know where you're listening from. We're trying to, expand our reach worldwide, so it's cool to see where everyone is. Okay, let's jump right into it then. Today we are tackling, well, a pretty common health mystery. Influenza, the flu. We're sort of doing a blind guess challenge on this one, trying to decode the symptoms just based on, what we think we know, general knowledge, maybe personal experience. Our mission really is to get why spotting these signs early isn't just like a good idea.
Absolutely crucial for you.
It really is. And the scale here is pretty fascinating, maybe even a bit sobering. Influenza or the flu is not just a bad cold, right? We're talking about something that hits 25 to 50 million people in the U.S. every single year. And sadly, it led to up to 40,000 deaths in 2024 alone. That's according to the CDC. Its symptoms are, well, they're notorious for being tricky. They look a lot like other things, which makes catching it early a huge health game changer, especially thinking about avoiding serious stuff like pneumonia. Pneumonia actually put 1.2 million people in the hospital just last year. That stat came from Becker's Hospital Review.
Wow, 1.2 million. Okay,
Yeah.
so before diving into the official stuff, I did some little exercise. I listed what I thought were the main flu symptoms, just off the top of my head, sort of drawing from experience, what you hear. Curious to see how close I got. So here's my list. First up, fever. I put that right at the top. I'm thinking that high-grade flu fever, right? Maybe 100 up to 104 Fahrenheit. The kind of makes you feel boiling hot 1 minute, then freezing the next.
That hot and cold swing is very characteristic.
Yeah, exactly. Which leads right into my second guess. Chills. It feels directly linked to the fever, doesn't it? That like uncontrollable shivering, even if you're under blankets, like your body's thermostat is just completely broken.
Completely haywire, yeah.
Then, body aches. Oh, man. For me, being sick often means sore muscles, joints aching. But the flu seems different. It feels like your entire body is just screaming in pain. Like you ran a marathon you didn't sign up for.
That systemic feeling, yeah, it's intense.
Totally. And fatigue, the flu absolutely knocks you out, doesn't it? Just extreme tiredness.
Yeah.
Where you can barely move. Like all your energy has just been sucked right out.
That profound exhaustion is definitely a big one.
Okay, then cough. I'm guessing a dry, hacking kind of cough mostly. Not just a little tickle, but something deeper that really lingers and irritates your throat and chest.
A persistent cough is very common, yeah?
And headache. Usually a pounding one for me. Maybe from the fever or sinus pressure. Just makes your head feel like it's in a vice.
Often quite severe.
And sore throat. That scratchy, painful feeling, especially when you swallow. Feels like sandpaper back there.
Yep, another common early sign.
Finally, I put down nasal congestion. Like a stuffy or runny nose. Although I kind of feel like colds often have worse congestion. But I still think the flu can clog you up a bit. Maybe not the main event, but it's there.
That's an interesting distinction you make there.
So yeah, that's my list. I'm really interested now to see how these guesses stack up against, the actual science. Let's dig into why getting these symptoms right matters so much.
That's a perfect transition because it really drills down to the core question. Why is it so vital to recognize these symptoms and fast? What's really striking here is how quickly the flu comes on. The
Yeah.
symptoms usually hit you within like 24 to 48 hours. The CDC points this out. It's much, much faster than a typical cold, which tends to creep up on you over several days, right?
Right. It's more like hitting a brick wall sometimes.
Exactly. And that early detection, recognizing it in that fast onset, isn't just about feeling better a bit sooner. It can genuinely be a lifesaver. Think about antiviral treatments like Tamiflu. If you take those within the first 48 hours of symptoms starting, they can actually cut the severity of the illness by about 30%. That's a pretty significant number, reported in a 2024 Journal of Infectious Diseases study.
30% reduction. Wow. That's huge.
It is. And without that quick action, around 10% of flu cases can develop serious complications. We mentioned pneumonia earlier, that's a big one. And this is especially true for those high-risk groups, adults over 65, little kids under 5, and anyone with underlying chronic health conditions. The Mayo Clinic really emphasizes this.
You see this reflected in people's actual experiences too, right? We saw that X post from 2024 got like 10,000 likes. Someone shared basically. Caught my flu early, got the meds, and I was back on my feet in just a few days.
Yeah.
It just really highlights how powerful knowing those signs quickly can be for you.
Absolutely. A perfect real-world example.
And the flip side is stark. Missing those signs can lead to really severe outcomes, including ending up in the hospital. We mentioned that 1.2 million flu hospital admissions number for 2024 earlier. It's serious.
Very serious.
So, okay, if catching it early is so critical, why do so many of us still find it hard to actually pinpoint the flu? Why do we get it wrong sometimes?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it comes down to the fact that flu symptoms are just incredibly sneaky. They overlap so much with other common illnesses, it's easy to get confused. There was a 2023 study in the American Journal of Public Health that found something pretty staggering. 60% of people actually misdiagnose their flu as just a common cold.
60%, that's more than half.
Exactly, because symptoms like cough and congestion show up in both. But remember that sudden onset we talked about?
Yeah, the hitting a brick wall feeling.
That's one of your biggest clues. Unlike a cold that kind of ramps up slowly, the flu often hits like a freight train, all at once, intensely. Here's a useful tip from the CDC. If you have a fever over 100 degrees Fahrenheit plus those noticeable chills, that specific combination makes it about 80% more likely that it's the flu, not just a cold. That's a key differentiator.
Okay, fever plus chills. That's a really good practical marker to remember. And then there's the severity thing too, right? It varies so wildly. Some people get what feels like maybe just a really, really bad day or two.
Yeah.
Others are completely flat and bedridden for a week or even more.
Absolutely. That variability is huge. Healthline reports that even for uncomplicated cases, about 20% of patients need a good 7 to 10 days just to feel recovered.
A week to 10 days. No wonder people get frustrated. We saw another X post, this one from 2024 with 12,000 likes, someone venting. Thought it was just a bad cold, but this flu has kept me down for days.
Exactly. That wide range makes self-diagnosis incredibly tough for you. Even if you're usually pretty tuned into your body, it really highlights why accurate awareness is so important.
Okay, so now for the big reveal. The moment of truth for my blind guest list. How did my initial thoughts on flu symptoms measure up against the scientific consensus? You know, from sources like the CDC Mayo Clinic.
Well, overall, I have to say you did quite well. You hit a lot of the major ones. Let's break it down.
Okay, I'm ready.
Fever, spot on. Flu fevers typically are in that 100 to 104 Fahrenheit range you mentioned, and they often come with chills. Affects about 80% of cases.
Let's start.
Chills, correct again. They frequently accompany the fever, seen in about 70% of patients, creates that really uncomfortable freezing then hot cycle you described.
Right.
Body aches, you definitely nailed this one. That severe muscle and joint pain affects somewhere between 60 and 70% of flu sufferers. And yeah, it can be really intense.
Feels like it.
Fatigue. Right again. That extreme tiredness is absolutely a hallmark symptom. Hits about 90% of cases. And for maybe 30% of people, that exhaustion can drag on for weeks, even after other symptoms fade.
Weeks. Wow.
Yeah, it can linger. Cough, good guess. A cough, either dry or sometimes productive, happens in about 80% of cases, usually pretty persistent.
Okay.
Headache, accurate. Headaches strike about 50% of patients, often related to the fever and the general inflammation.
That makes sense.
Sore throat, on point. A sore throat affects about half of cases, maybe 50%, especially right at the beginning.
Okay.
And finally, nasal congestion. You get partial credit here. It is present, but like you suspected, maybe less common or severe than with a cold. Affects about 40% of flu cases. So still relevant, but maybe not the main feature.
Okay, so 40% for congestion. Interesting. So what did I miss then? Were there any really significant symptoms that weren't on my radar?
Yes, there were a couple of important ones that you didn't list, and they're worth knowing because they can sometimes signal a more severe illness developing.
Okay, what are they?
First is shortness of breath. This happens in about 20% of cases. It's not just feeling tired, but actual difficulty breathing. That's a definite red flag.
Right, that sounds serious.
It can be. The second one is gastrointestinal issues. Things like nausea, vomiting, sometimes diarrhea. These affect maybe 10 to 20% of patients overall, but they're actually more common in children with the flu.
Ah, okay. Nausea and vomiting, especially in kids. Good to know.
Yeah.
So not bad for no Googling, I guess. 8 out of the, 10 major symptoms? But yeah, knowing that full picture, including shortness of breath and GI stuff, is really important.
Absolutely. Those last two, while maybe less frequent than fever or aches, can be critical warning signs. And if we connect all this back to the bigger picture, ignoring flu symptoms or misdiagnosing them isn't just about feeling lazy for longer. It can lead to some very serious, potentially even life-threatening complications.
Right, let's talk about those risks.
The big one, the most feared, is probably pneumonia. It's a secondary bacterial or viral infection in the lungs. It complicates about 5% of flu cases overall, but that led to 100,000 hospitalizations in 2024. And seniors, they face a 30% higher risk of developing it. That's from the CDC.
100,000 hospitalizations just from flu-related pneumonia. That's huge.
It is. Then there's bronchitis, inflammation of the airways. That hits about 10% of patients, causes that persistent cough, breathing difficulties. We also see sinus and ear infections developing in maybe 5 to 10% of cases, especially common in kids, as the Mayo Clinic notes, can be really painful.
Yeah, those ear infections can be rough.
And critically, the flu can really worsen existing chronic health problems. It's like throwing gasoline on a fire. For example, it can trigger severe asthma attacks in about 15% of patients with asthma. It can cause dangerous blood sugar spikes in about 20% of people with diabetes. And for those with heart disease, the flu actually increases the risk of a heart attack by about 10%. That's according to the Journal of Cardiology.
Wow, so it's not just the flu itself, but how it destabilizes everything else in your body. We even saw that powerful survivor story on X, the one with 15,000 likes, warning people, flu turned into pneumonia, don't ignore symptoms. It's just such a stark reminder, isn't it? Especially for those high-risk groups who face, 25% higher complication rates, makes that early detection we keep talking about just absolutely critical.
Truly critical. Life or death critical in some cases.
So thinking about those risks, who exactly needs to be extra vigilant? Who are these high-risk groups we keep mentioning?
That's a really important question. While technically anyone can get seriously ill from the flu, certain groups definitely face much higher risks for severe illness and those complications we just discussed. Older adults, so people aged 65 and over, they are a major concern. They actually account for a staggering 60% of all flu-related deaths. Primarily because immune systems tend to weaken with age, the CDC highlights this consistently.
60% of deaths in the over 65s. That's sobering.
It really is. Then young children, especially those under 5 years old, they're another very vulnerable group. They account for about 30% of flu-related hospitalizations. That was 10,000 cases in 2024 alone. Their immune systems are still developing.
Little ones get hit hard too.
They do. And then there are individuals with chronic health conditions. We touched on this, but people with diabetes, asthma, heart disease, lung disease, they face maybe 20 to 30% worse outcomes if they get the flu because their bodies are already dealing with significant health challenges.
Right, the flu just adds immense strain.
Exactly. And finally, pregnant women. They also have about a 15% higher risk of complications from the flu. That's noted by the American Journal of Obstetrics. Hormonal changes and changes to the immune system during pregnancy play a role.
Okay, so older adults, young kids, people with chronic conditions, and pregnant women. That's crucial to know. So what can we do? What's the best line of defense here?
Well, the cornerstone of prevention is really vaccination, getting the annual flu shot. In 2024, about half of Americans, 50%, got vaccinated, which is significant because even if the vaccine doesn't prevent the flu entirely, it can reduce the severity of the illness by about 40% if you do end up catching it. That means less risk of hospitalization, less risk of complications.
Right, it's about reducing the harm, and people really advocate for it. That X post from 2024 with 18,000 likes was just simple and powerful. Get your flu shot. It saves lives.
It really does. It's not just protecting yourself. It's a community effort to protect those more vulnerable groups, too.
Absolutely. So thinking beyond just our own personal health risk, what does all this mean for us collectively? What are the broader implications of flu awareness?
That's a great question because the impact really ripples outwards. When we connect this to the bigger public health picture, widespread flu awareness has truly profound benefits. It goes beyond individual well-being and touches on, community health and even economics. Just look at 2024. Better early detection efforts alone were credited with cutting flu-related hospitalizations in the U.S. by 15%.
15% reduction in hospital stays.
Yeah. And according to McKinsey, that translated into an estimated saving of about $2 billion in healthcare costs, just from people recognizing symptoms earlier and getting treatment faster.
$2 billion. That's incredible.
It really shows the power of awareness. And public health campaigns play a huge role, too. Campaigns that reached about 20 million people in 2024 significantly boosted vaccination rates by about 10%, the CDC reported.
So education and outreach really work.
They absolutely do. Now, think back to that statistic we mentioned, 60% of people misdiagnosing the flu as a cold. Imagine if we could significantly reduce that number through better education. The American Journal of Public Health suggests this could radically improve not just individual outcomes, but the overall strain on our healthcare system, our economy.
Yeah, fewer people getting seriously ill, fewer hospital visits, less time off work.
Exactly. It all connects. There was even that really popular X post from 2024, got 20,000 likes, calling for schools to actually teach kids how to recognize flu signs. That idea clearly resonated with a lot of people.
That's a great idea, actually. Empowering people with knowledge from a young age.
It really highlights how individual knowledge contributes to collective well-being. It's not just about you, it's about protecting the whole community.
Wow, what an absolutely illuminating deep dive into the flu. It seems so common, but there are so many layers. So my blind guess is fever, chills, body aches, fatigue, cough, headache, sore throat, congestion. They hit most of the big ones, 8 out of 10 key symptoms. But we really zeroed in on those crucial missed ones. Shortness of breath and those GI issues, nausea, vomiting, especially as warning signs.
The less common but potentially more serious signals.
And we kept coming back to how absolutely critical early detection is. For the 25 million cases in the U.S. each year, catching it early drastically cuts down complications like pneumonia, which still affects 5% of cases. And understanding that tricky overlap with colds, which leads 60% of us to misdiagnose it, well, that makes real nuanced awareness just incredibly vital for you. Like that X post summed it up perfectly. Know the flu, beat the flu.
That really does capture it beautifully. And it leads me to a final important question for you, our listener. Given everything we've discussed, how easy it is to confuse flu symptoms, how much early detection matters for you and everyone around you, what specific steps could you personally take moving forward to boost your own flu literacy, to better protect yourself, your family, your community? Steps beyond just getting the annual vaccine, which is still crucial.
That's a great point. It's about actively using this knowledge, right?
Exactly. It's about empowering yourself with this information and then translating that into action and vigilance.
A really great thought to leave everyone with. Thank you. And hey, we genuinely want to hear from you. Share your own flu experiences or insights in the comments below. And yeah, please tell us where you're listening from. Help Mind Expansion Daily reach more people around the globe. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss our future deep dives. Keep an eye out for our next one. We'll be continuing to explore important health topics just like this. Thanks for joining us.